Well, hello everybody. This is Mac, and welcome to Mac's Tutorials. We are going to take version C of this video. There's also a version A and a version B. Version C, I usually go a little bit quicker because I've already explained it, and this is just a little bit of extra practice. But what we're going to do here is we're going to take every type of equation that we've been learning to solve in Chapter 2. One-step problems, two-step problems, combining like terms, using distributive property, variables on both sides, and we're just going to mix them all up together. If you need more help or if you need to see those videos, go to maxtutorials.com. I take every one of these type and I break them down and go over them really slowly. So if there's a type on here that freaks you out, go back there and it'll really help you. Number one is a one-step problem. X plus 5, I want x by itself, so I do the opposite. So I'm just going to subtract 5, boom, die, x equals 7. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of a thicker marker here, I think. Let me see. So negative 6 divided by x, I'm going to divide each side. Ooh, that's too thick. Divide by negative 6. Remember, you got to divide by the sign as well. Okay, and now positive divided by negative is a negative. Number 5, this is what we call the two-step problems, okay? On a two-step problem, you can't divide by 3 until this term is by itself. A term is anything separated by a plus or a minus, okay? So I want to get rid of this term first. If it's plus 8, I'm going to do the opposite and go minus 8. Why do I do that? Because positive 8 and negative 8 equals 0. So they go away. They don't cancel out. They don't die. They just turn into 0, and we don't have to write 0, okay? Now we divide each side by 3, and we go x equals 6. Number 7, this is the variable on both sides. And my suggestion on this, now I could go negative 4x, negative 4x. I'm allowed to do that, and y'all get the right answer. I could go minus 2, minus 2. I got to put it under the 18, but I could do that. And if I did that, I would get the right answer, okay? I could go minus 18 and minus 18. I got to put it under the 2 because it's a number, and I get the right answer. All those will work. But I want you to do this, minus 2x minus 2x, because I find that students do better on these types of problems when they move the letter and they move it in a way to keep the letter positive. And when you do that, there tends to be fewer mistakes, okay? Now I want to get that 2x by itself, so I'm going to get rid of that 2. So I'm going to get now 2x equals 16, and when I divide each side by 2, I just get a nice, pretty x equals 8. Boom, 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 boom. Number 9. All right, I'm going to go minus 2x, right? Wrong, okay? You only do that when you cross the equal sign. When they're on the same side, you just do the math, which is 8x, okay? 6x plus 2x is 8x. Now you can just divide by 8, okay? That's the one error I'll see students make is when they see like terms, they'll just start, subtracting them or adding them or doing the opposite and all that. You don't. When they're on the same side, just do the math. 9x. Look, they're on the same side. Okay, you only do the opposite if you're crossing that equal sign. We didn't cross an equal sign. Now that 9 is gonna cross the equal sign. So now I'm gonna do the opposite because I'm going to both sides of the equal sign. 9x is gonna equal 54, and when I divide each side by 9, that's gonna give me a nice pretty x equals 6. Okay? Number 13, I'm gonna take that 2 and I'm gonna distribute it across the parentheses. So I get 2x plus 12 equals 22. So now it's just a two-step problem after I do that. So I'm going to subtract the 12. Sorry. And now I'm going to get 2x equals 10. And once I divide each side by 2, I just get a nice little x equals 5. Number 15, I'm going to start by distributing this across. I'm going to get 3x plus 12 equals 2x plus 19. Now, once I did the distributive property, now what kind of a problem do I have? Well, now I have a variable on both sides. I'm going to subtract the 2x from both sides. What's a 3x minus 2x? It's a 1x, or just x. Plus 12 equals 19. Well, look, that now turned into a one-step problem. All I have to do is move that 12 out of the way of that x, and now I just get x equals 7. Okay? Let's go on to number 17. Yeah, variables on both sides. I'm going to suggest you move the minus 2x, even though you don't have to, but that's the best thing to do in my opinion. Okay, plus 7 equals 23. Now we're just going to move that 7 out of the way. That's going to give me a 2x equals 16. And then once you divide everybody by 2, which is a nice little x equals 8. Okay, let's go on to number 19. Now, this is leading with a negative, so just be careful. Go slow. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. What's negative 2 times positive 5? Negative 10 equals 14. Now it's just a two-step equation. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. That's step number 1. And the step number 1 leaves me with just one variable term. And step number 2 is I divide by that. It's what we call the coefficient, the number in front of the letter. That's called a coefficient. And you got to do the sign of that as well. And a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Okay? Now, one more column and we're all done with these. All right? You're doing a good job. All right, let's go to number 2. All right, one-step problem. I'm just going to add the 13 to both sides. And once I do that, that equals 0. I'm only left with x, which is what I want. Signs are different. Subtract. Keep the sign of the bigger number, which is positive. Number 4, this is also a one-step problem. I have a 5 times x, so I'm going to divide. And that's how I cancel that out. That actually becomes a 1, right? 1x. And negative divided by a positive is a negative. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 6, two-step problem. First step is to get the x by itself, the x value, the x term. Okay, that's called a term. And so once I do that, they die. 7x equals 35. That's step 1. Step 2, now I get the x by itself by dividing by that 7, and I'll get an x equals 5. All right, let's do step number 8. Yep, I got variables on both sides. I'm going to ask you to move the 3x over here, and that's going to leave me, they die, 6x minus 5 equals 19. Once I do that, I now just have a two-step problem. Step number 1 is to get the 6x by itself by moving the number over. Now I have a letter term on the left, and now I have a number term on the right. Now I just divide by that coefficient to get that x by itself, and I'll get my x equals 4. Okay, let's go on to number 10. All right, they're on the same side, so I don't add 3x or anything like that. I just do the math. When they're on the same side, just do the math. Okay, now I'm going to divide each side by 5, and I'm going to get an x equals 5. All right, I keep going. 10x minus 6x. Well, they're on the same side, so I'm just going to do the math. And I'm going to copy everything out. Well, look at that. Now I just have a very simple two-step problem. Number 1 is to subtract the 8. Why? Because I want that letter term to be by himself. And look, now the letter term is. Okay, it's not done. It still has that coefficient. That's fine. I'm just going to divide on step number 2, and my two-step equation is now done. All right. Number 14, I'm leading with a negative, so you always want to be careful with that. Negative 4 times x is a negative 4x, and a negative 4 times a negative 3. Negative times a negative is a positive 12, and that equals 20. Okay, now it's just a two-step equation. Step number 1 is to get the x term by itself by doing the opposite with the number, and I get my negative 4x equals 20 minus 12 is 8. Now I divide. Divide by what? Divide by 4? No. Divide by negative 4. Always do the sign as well. X is going to be equal, positive divided by a negative is a negative. Going on to number 16. If I have a number in front of a parenthesis, ding, 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 that means I want to do distributive. And now I'm going to get a 5x minus a 10 equals a 3x plus a 12. Now I have variables on both sides. I'm going to move the 3x. And once I move the 3x, I'm going to get 2x minus 10 equals 12. Now I'm down to a two-step problem. I want to get the x term by itself, so I'm going to move the 10 by doing the opposite, and that makes him equal 0, so he goes away. 2x equals 22, and now once I divide each side by 2, I'm left with 11 as my final answer. Number 18, 2 more. Hang in there with me. Well, letter, number, letter, number. I have variables on both sides. I'm going to move the 4x to start, all right? And that's going to leave me with a 3x minus 1 equals 20. Now, I'm on a two-step problem. I'm going to add the 1 to both sides, and I get 3x equals 21. And now that I divide each side by 3, I'm left with a very simple x equals 7. Number 20, I have a 6 in front of a parenthesis. Boom, boom. 6x minus 6 equals 30. Two-step problem. I'm going to add the 6. Why did I do that? I did that because I want my x term to be all alone, because I'm not allowed to divide by that 6 until there's nothing left with it. Now I can divide by that 6, and I'm left with x equals 6. Okay, I hope by going through all the different types of equations that I've been doing in Chapter 2, by going them, maybe not slowly, but going through them and talking through them, hopefully that helped you to see how I think about it and how you might want to think about that. Okay, so great job, great, working through all this. I hope that version C helped you, and I will see you on the next section.